Well, it's time to start 2025 in style as we return to the Firefighter. We made our FM25 plans. You can see the New Year channel update up in the eye above. But today we return to the save that we're enjoying the most. And this one is seeing us return to Europe after the most remarkable and indescribable success that we had at Vendor FC. We return to Europe and Turkey to go and manage Samsunspor, who are in trouble. Yes, hello, and welcome along to Club 9 of the Firefighter with me, Daniel. The FM24 edition saw us leave Europe last time out, and we had a remarkable success. We then went on a job hunt after having half a year off to complete a coaching badge. And as you know, we are returning today after 5 job offers. We chose Samsunspor in Turkey, and we're going to be heading there for a career high earnings and about 15 times what we've earned a week before. We've also been offered a big deal there to replace Carlos Carvajal after getting our Continental B licence. So if you're looking forward to that, then please do put a thumbs up on it. Catch up with the series so far if you haven't seen it. But for now, Samsunspor is the destination. And what I didn't realise when we got an interview and a job offer there in trouble last week is that actually they're not quite as much of a shoo-in to stay up as you'd expect. Yes, they're a big club, a big capacity stadium and good facilities and all that. But actually, they've only just come back up to the top tier. Now, you can look at this one of two ways because in 23-24 and 24-25, they have very good seasons. They were doing fantastically well. They were in the top half. And then somehow they managed to get relegated 2 seasons ago. Now, whether that was a one-off, whether that was players aging, losing a few superstars, I don't know. But they came straight back up as champions. And I guess we're expecting to be solid this year. The media prediction has them 14th. They're currently 17th. But as we've seen here, it is so tight. They are 8 points off 4th place. The top 3, we know Galatasaray, Fenerbahce, Besiktas, they're going to run away. But aside from that, it's very tight in this division. I fancy us to have a go. So we're going to take charge at Samsunspor, move into the first day in the job. We'll do the usual. We'll meet the players and staff we'll be working with, then stop at key intervals, including 1 or 2 big games between now and the end of the season. Back in a moment for our first day in the job. Well, here we go. Our first day in the job as we are confirmed as the new manager of Samsunspor. We've had I wouldn't say a glittering career, but we've had a varied career for sure. And last time out, we achieved remarkable success in South Africa. Now, Samsunspor are currently on a 3-match unbeaten run, which sees them 17th. Drawn 3 of the last 5 games, so I'm guessing all 3 of those were draws. We also had those other offers you know about, Estrella, Torquay, Curzon Ashton. We had an interview at Pendic Sport and an Antequera in Spain. But this is by far the biggest of the jobs we've been given an opportunity at. So let's see what we can do with it as we go through to a club with a 2.5-star reputation that is expected to stay up by the media. Trabzonspor are the fierce rivals. The facilities and everything, bar youth recruitment, is great, which for a 1-year job is ideal. Even the finances are secure, which is a little confusing to me because I think they said they were over their wage budget, but then they have got 1 or 2 ridiculous earners compared to the rest of the squad. Now, it's a club that have had success in the past, but they don't have many staff in at the minute, so we're going to be able to hire the big ones ourselves, which is good. And this is the team they're talking about. 4-2-3-1 again. I don't know if that's the preferred formation or what they perceive ours to be, but looks like there's players to work with. It's a huge squad. There's a lot of youngsters in there as well. We've got to be competitive in the Turkish Cup. We've got to avoid relegation. Obviously, we've got more than a 1-year deal here, but we will be leaving at the end of the season. And they want to play defensive, direct, counter-attacking football. Have they got the players to do so? That's going to be the next question. Can we be competitive against the rivals and remain in the Super League? Let's get into the first day and find out. Playing time expectations for youngsters are pretty big. Regular starter for a 19-year-old there. No, surely not. Youth intake preview average, supporter profile. It's fairly big. 11,000 season ticket holders ain't bad, is it? We've got to avoid relegation with a transfer budget of 4 million. Yeah, I didn't read it right. Over 20 grand over the wage budget at the minute. The budget is 188,000 a week, which is huge for us. But the current spend is 210. We might have to sell before we can buy this window. Albeit the transfer budget should take us most of the way back up there. So that we'll agree to. Tactical direction we'll do once we've met the players and the staff. let's go and have a look at what we've got to work with behind the scenes, because we know there's no recruitment team, there's no assistant, there's no director of football. There's not a huge amount else, to be honest. There's a lot of under 19 staff. Let's have a look at the senior team. There is a goalkeeping coach in Petri. Very good one, to be fair to him. He's been there since the start. Emre Bayraktar is a coach. A very good one, in fairness. Been there since the start. Fatih Yildiz, good fitness coach. Happy with him. Been there from the start. Head physio on 250 quid a week, but he's not bad. I'll give him that. Another physio in Saralar who's average. Another fitness coach who's not good. There's the first disappointing one. And then that's about it. Couple of performance analysts, a doctor. And that's literally it. So what we've got, bar one, isn't bad. Whether or not we've got enough depth is a very different question. I would expect there to be a few additions on the staff in front. And we'll get through them pretty quickly if we can, because they'll be important. If we go and have a look at the youth teams, are there any good players in there? There's one 2.5-star striker, Abdul Hamid Ulka, who is, oh wow, he looks a talent. Maybe just lacking that extra burst of pace, but the finishing, the mentality, it's not bad, is it? He's 6'2" as well, so he can do a job in the box. But the only thing that disappoints me really is that his player trait is to come deep and get the ball, which doesn't suit his style at all. But he is a player for the future, and if we were doing a long-term save here, I'd probably be rushing him in. But as it is, I think he's going to be a success story in this save. There's a lot of 2-star players who I'm not too sure about yet. We'll come back to that if we need to. The rest of the under-19 squad, again, you've got a few with big potential. It's just how many of them have got the current ability to help out. There's a few older ones, which doesn't really make sense either. But let's go through to the bit we all want to meet, which is the senior team. How is it looking? Very large is the first answer. Let's see what the ratings are here and get rid of a few, because look, we don't need 1 and 1.5 star players, don't need to be in here. We can get rid of them, and we can probably get rid of the one who's not at the club at the moment, who, to be fair to him, he's not bad at all. We could have done with him in the squad. Let's just get them in order. We'll fly through the 2 stars and look at the rest in a bit more detail. Only one senior goalkeeper of decent level, Okan Kochuk, who is 32, 3.5-star ability. Looks rock solid to me. The positioning slightly lower than I like, but everything else is fine. And for a goalkeeper battling relegation, I would expect he's as good as, if not better than, some of our rival clubs. 2 right-backs rated 3-star ability. Kerem Kalafat, who is, again, okay. Not the tallest, not the most determined. Just an okay player all around. There'll be better players in the team, but he's all right. The other one is Philip Loftusnes Bajun, who is 22. It's a bit more versatile. Says he's also a holding midfielder. Yeah, he can do all 3 naturally. Wing back, right back, and holding mid. 6 foot tall. Probably a little better defensively, a little more solid as a player, but not the most aggressive going forward. He's not quick. He's not got the best delivery. Doesn't work that hard for a centre mid, which is an issue. But I would imagine a very good utility player regardless. There's then a 2-star right back. In fact, there's 2 of them. Haluk Tan, who's pretty good. Again, one for the future, but might need to be loaned out. Not quite as good as the 2 ahead of him. And Emrah Karatas, who, yeah, for now, you can go and get in the youth team, mate. You're not quite there. Centre halves, we've got a few decent ones. Nihad Majakic is one. He is a right-footed centre half who can also play left back, bizarrely, but looks very good. My one worry is that he dives into tackles, but he's not overly aggressive, fairly determined, just a solid defender who's quick, who's good in the air, and not bad on the floor. I think he's very good. He's only started 5 games this year. I think that might be changing under us. The next one, if I just get them in general info so I can show you something else along the way, is Rick van Drongelen, who is a 28-year-old Dutch defender, rated slightly worse than Majakic. A bit more aggressive, again dives into tackles. So not quite as good technically, not quite as quick, but a bit more of a brute, if you like. Has got the versatility again, but very much a backup in my opinion. Not as good as Majakic, who we've seen a minute ago. The next one is a 2-star, Kegalan Menderes, who's not even registered. Why have we got a 28-year-old of that ability? He is god-awful. They only signed him 2 years ago. Why? Was he bought in to meet a quota? I don't know. Rubbish player. Right, the other 3.5-star centre-half is Adem Durgam, but you may notice something here. If I flip it quickly to wages order, you'll notice that Durgan and then one of the worst centre-halves at the club are the two highest earners, but Durgan is earning twice anyone else. So he may be very good, but when you look at us being 20 grand over the wage bill, I'm immediately thinking he might be the one to sacrifice. He's 26, he's Turkish, he's only been here 2 years, having signed from Peterborough for 10 million quid. I mean, he's solid. Is he exceptional? Not really. He's good on the ball. I'd like to keep him, but I don't think we can justify it given the money he's on and the fact we'd be able to do business if we let him go. So he'll probably move on. The second highest earner at the club, inexplicably, is Erkan Erdogan, who is 29. He's over the hill. I mean, he's okay again, but he's just not earning the wages. So we'll try and pass him on if we can. There's then a centre-half and right-back, Stav Lemkin, on loan from Shakhtar Donetsk. Good jumping reach. Pretty solid across the board at the rest. Centre-half by trade. I mean, I look at the Durgan situation, and Erdogan, in fact. I'd probably be happy to start Majakic and Lemkin and have Van Drongelen as a sub. That I don't then need the other two. And if we can get that 45 grand off the wages, then great. So that's the plan here. Umut Kaya is 2-star ability. One for the future for sure. Nicolas Fernandez, 3.5-star left back at 25. Argentinian. Not the fittest, but he's got a mean delivery. Technically, he's very good. Likes to get down the left-hand side. Yeah, very good player technically, but just lacking a little in other areas. The other left back at the club is Enes Albak, who is a 22-year-old Turk. Looks like a potential player rather than a current one. Oh, I take that back. He's not bad at all. Jumping reach is letting him down. He's not the most composed, but I guess I look at it and think Fernandez is going to be able to do an hour. We'll get Albak as many appearances off the bench as possible and hopefully have a star for the future. Into midfield, we're out of defenders now. Emerick Depasay is 10.5 grand a week. French 26-year-old midfielder. Ball buster, professional. Says he likes to get forward whenever possible, which doesn't suit his game, but he's a good footballer. I'll give him that. Berke Ozgan is alongside him. Not the most physical player overall, but he's naturally fit. He's good on the ball. A bit of a playmaker type and a specialist from set pieces, which is always good to have in a team. We've then got another 3-star centre mid in Celil Yüksel, who's very similar to Ozcan actually. Not great physically. Probably not as good overall, but just behind him is the perfect backup in that position and not earning a huge amount. There are a few 2-stars in the middle, so Murat Koskun, one for the future. Onur Ünal, nowhere near first team level. You can get in the 19s as well. And Murat Çelik, who is injured at the minute. He's not terrible, but I think I'd be willing to let him go. We've obviously got the one out on loan we can't do much about for now. So let's move to the more attacking midfield options, which starts with Gökdeniz Gürpers, who is 21 years of age. Bit of a weird player, actually. Natural in centre mid and on the left wing. Very much the playmaker type. Not as good as what we've seen, but passable if we need him on the bench. Again, a little bit of versatility. Doruk Gunez, 2-star ability, big potential. Yet one for the future, not rounded enough yet. Safa Kinali, 2.5-star winger at 28 years of age. You are, again, very much a utility man. You can see he can play basically any of the midfield positions going forward. He's just not great at anything, but then he's not got any massive weaknesses. So just a jack of all trades, good to have on the bench. Kenan Karaman is a name I recognise, but 10 grand a week doesn't correlate with 2-star ability at 33. He's only got 6 months on his contract. I think we've got to try and get him out. Physically, he's over the hill. Technically, he's not great. He looks like a player who was mentally solid and used to rely on his physical attributes and no longer has them. So as good as he may have been as a footballer, 31 Turkish caps, played in most of his career in Germany in the Bundesliga. We've got to try and get him out because that is 10 grand again we can't afford to be spending. The next one is a 19-year-old Atakan Durgan. Poor personality. Everything else is pretty good. There are a few attacking players that really are made for the future here. Durgan being the first of them. The next one, pretty similar. Yalcin Kulaksikoglu. He is a 19-year-old striker, can play off the wing. Not the best in the air, not the most physical. He's got some very good attributes. He's a little bit of a tricky player, so Maybe in the long term will become a superstar for the club. There's another recognisable name, Olivia and Cham. A few fans will recognise him from English and Scottish football, played for the likes of Celtic and Swansea. He's again past it physically, no natural fitness, no stamina. He's okay at the rest of the game, but I look at 7 grand a week. He's not really featuring. Another one I'd probably be happy to let go in the winter window. As we move on to 22-year-old Mohamed Ozbasiki. He is a defensive mid and attacking mid. He's definitely more suited to the attacking midfield game. He's a good little player. Maybe not the best overall. We've got a lot of them, haven't we? Just sort of solid all-rounders, but not particularly special at anything. And he's another one of those. But a solid player. And was he? Was he homegrown at the club? Yes, he was. So he's someone we've got to look after, at least as a backup. We've got 4-star ability Erdogan Ikoz. He is the star of the show. Now, he is some player. He's a number 10, but he's also a brilliant finisher. He's got great vision, good physically. I'm a bit worried about the fact that he's wanted. Please don't have a release clause. There it is. £4.7 million release clause. There's no chance we'll get him on a new deal because we're over the wage bill. Well, he'll be here for the next 2 weeks and then I'm sure he'll be off. Carlos Eduardo is 3-star ability, on loan, 31 years of age. Decent, a little bit of natural pace, which we haven't got much in the team, and he's versatile, but we could find someone better this season. I'd ideally prefer them. The best winger at the club is Arbnor Muja, who is a 29-year-old Kosovan, natural off both flanks. There you go. Get him on the right wing, beat your man, put a cross in. He is the classic winger, like the Stuart Downing, the James Milner back in the day. Quick burst of pace to beat your man and a good crosser of the ball. Nothing else technically in his locker, but that's all we need. I like him. A little bit different to what we've got, and he's got a speciality, which is nice. There's another 2.5-star winger here, Emre, who is 33 again. Another one I'd probably be willing to let go. He's versatile, he's useful, he's a former international, but he's only going one way, and he's not a starter now. So if we can get that 8 grand off the wage bill, then great. 3 more to go at the bottom. Oh, there's a real lack of strikers here, aren't there? I know we've seen Durgan, who's okay. Maybe that Ulka from the youth team. We're going to have to promote him, aren't we? Because there's not strikers better than him at this football club. The only chance there is remaining is Marius Muand Lil Madji, who is a 29-year-old Chad international. He's pretty good, to be fair. He's 6'3". He can run in behind. He's quick. He's good in the air. Again, he's not got the best game technically, but he's solid enough overall and will surely do a job for us this year. He's got 4 goals already. He's not doing awfully. The other 2 young strikers, in fact 3 now because we've promoted Ulke. Marvin Yusun, not good enough. And Sahin Dyke. Oh, he's a left winger and left back. What are you doing up there? He's not very good either way. So at 23, we'll probably let him go too. Those 2, not good enough for first team level. So I think we've probably seen that at the start of the window, there's 6 or 7 we want to trim from the squad. We're going to have to get rid of Durgan. I know he would be a starter, but he's just on too much money for his ability. Erdogan we've got to get off as well. And then a couple of these older boys, Karaman and Cham ideally. And who was the other one? Killing a bit further down. If we can get that sort of 50, 60 grand off the wage bill just like that and a little bit of income in, it might allow us to bring 2 or 3 players in that can help the squad. But it doesn't need a huge amount. The only question I'm asking is what formation to play. It's got to be one up front because there's only one first team ready striker every week. I look at Muja and he's a good right winger, but off the left, we've not really got anything apart from Eduardo. There's a great number 10. There's loads of good holding midfielders. So it probably is leaning to sort of 4-2-3-1 again. The only issue with that is at the moment, 4 or 5 of our best players are centre-halves. But I guess if we're planning to sell Durgan and Erdogan, that then leaves us with 3. So it would make sense to play the 4-2-3-1. So I think that's what we're going to edge towards. If we go and have a look at the schedule, we start with a very tricky game at home to Besiktas, especially when you've not won in 6. If you take out a cup game as well, that's 9 in the league that we haven't won in. There's then a few tricky games on paper, but this is the important one, our second one. Away to 16th place if we can get a win there. Then at home to 15th. Başakşehir not quite as strong as they were a few years ago. Vanspor in the cup are currently near the bottom as well. They are bottom, in fact, of the table. Then Manisa are 10th. Konyaspor 7th. So we're not really playing any of the top sides after that. Probably until February, we start to play the top 8 sides consistently. And actually, I look at that run in February and think, we need to pull away from trouble by the end of January, or we could be in a spot of bother. Because you look at that run of games there where we play 8th, 6th, 1st, and 5th, I think it was. Then after that, we've got Bursaspor, who are a big side having a poor season. I know they've had their troubles in real life. We've still got the Fenerbahce to play at home. Trabzonspor in a derby, who are 4th. Then Besiktas away the penultimate day. There's a few games near the end I'd fancy us to get results, but it's going to be tricky. Overall, though, a relatively balanced squad. A transfer window that can't be too far from opening. We go and have a look at the rules. When is it? 11th of January to 9th of Feb. So we've only got to get through 4 league games and a cup game, and we can have a few deals ready. But we've got to get people out before we can bring in, because the wage budget at the moment is the big trouble, isn't it? 22 grand over it. Basically Durgan's wages. No idea why they put him on so much money. So we're going to get through our early weeks at the club. We'll obviously come back with any key news, but a huge focus here is going to be the transfer window. Can we cut the wage budget quick enough, get interest in those players we want out? Can we find replacements that are going to be decent? And can we pull away from trouble? Because you'd argue the last job with Vendor ended up being a bit too easy. We've had some tough times near the start of our career, but since we've got our badges, we've generally found success relatively comfortably. With this league table being as it is, bar the top 3, you could probably finish anywhere, and I think it's going to be fairly tight. So it's just whether we can find momentum and whether we can go on that run in the first 6 to 8 weeks, because once we get to February, the tough fixtures come thick and fast. So we'll be back in a few weeks as we get news. But for now, I'm looking forward to my stint in Turkey. I'm hoping we can pull this side out of trouble against our rivals in the coming weeks. Well, I have to return after our first game because I think this is a sign of things to come. Besiktas, poor travellers, but we managed to beat them. And a 1-0 win against one of the top 3 in our first game, playing the 4-2-3-1. It does make me worry that this is going to be a little bit too comfortable. Of course, we may be awful on the road as well. We immediately get the new manager bounce. We immediately get 3 points on the board. And after that result, I know we played before everyone else. We're up to 11th, but still just 2 points off the bottom. I've got a feeling we might be okay here because this squad has certainly got some performances in it. Whether or not they're consistent, we're about to find out. Well, we've reached the 1st of January and it's been a lovely start domestically. As you can see, we backed up the Besiktas win with a big win against our rivals near the bottom. And we're now up to 20 points, 3 clear of the relegation zone, 4 clear of the bottom, and only 6 points off 4th due to the weird way this league is bunched together. However, today we have our first big spanner in the works, because if we go back to the last inbox message, the 1st of January, the European window opens, and Salzburg have triggered the release clause for Erdogan Ikoz, our star number 10. He has moved on at 19 years of age, didn't want to discuss a new deal, and we have lost a superstar for not much money, which is really, really frustrating to me because he could have been someone to build this team around, albeit we've not got to worry about the long term. If we go and have a look at the schedule, though, it is 2 wins out of 2. Even Emre off the bench, the 33-year-old, got a goal last time out, and our strikers off the mark too. So on the pitch, things looking fantastic. Off it, we're now missing a star. How are things now going to transpire across January? Because this spell, looking at our fixtures after it, is crucial. We've got to come out of January with a good haul of points if we want to be really comfortable this year. Whether or not we get drawn back into a battle is another question. We're still over the wage budget. We are going to be desperately trying to get rid of people from this first team. Erdogan will offer out, Durgan will offer out, and a few of the older boys. And hopefully, when I come back to you next, we'll have got some of them off the books and maybe enticed a couple of replacements in. We'll mark the day in a diary because we have just gone under the wage budget due to the fact I've moved some transfer fees across that we got for the likes of Erdogan and a couple of others. But today is the day that we officially go under the wage budget because the player that we said we needed to get off the books as we head towards Erol Bulut's Rizespor side is the one who we've now managed to get rid of. Let's have a look at the main reason the wage bill is going to be dropping now, and it is because yes, we've had to take a loss, and yes, we've had to sell to our main rivals, but Adem Durgan is moving at £5.5 million and he is off 27.5 grand a week off the wages, and we get 3.5 million added to the transfer budget too. So Durgan going is a big one for us. If we have a look at the window so far as well, there are others that are likely to be joining him. Olivier and Cham is on a deal to go out. We're also trying to get rid of Kenan Karaman. Again, not taking much in terms of money. It's just about getting people off the wage bill. So when Cham moves on tomorrow for 1 million, Karaman should go for nothing. A few hopefully going out on loan as well. And then maybe we can start to focus on the ins. If we have a look at the transfer history, nothing done yet in terms of the ins. Of course, we've already lost our star man, the number 10. But it's still not affecting us too much on the pitch because, yes, we were battered at home to Başakşehir on the first day of January. But since then, we're back in form again. A 2-2 draw, despite the fact we were playing with 10 men for half a game. And then a penalties victory against Vanspor. Alkirk got his first goal for the club there. Killink got himself another goal. Emre looking really good. But then we backed it up with wins against Manisa and Konyaspor. And we're looking pretty handy at the minute. We're up to 8th place in the division, which is remarkable at this stage. We're just 4 points off 5th. And now we're already, 8 points clear of the relegation zone. I don't know what's happened in these last 2 jobs because all of the others have ended up being pretty tricky. We've ended up going fairly close to the wire. Here and in our last job, we've just flown clear. And with a club that's just come back up to the top tier, in this situation, it's even more remarkable. Let's keep getting through the window and see who else leaves the club and whether or not we can get anyone in. Well, I don't want to speak too soon and I could end up with egg on my face here, but we've reached the start of February and I think we're safe. We're coming into a run of tough fixtures, but we're up to 8th place in the league and we've sustained it now. We're on 32 points. We are 13 clear of the relegation zone. And in our last 2 matches, we've won again. A 3-1 victory against Risersport and 2-0 against Igdir. Both of them very comfortable victories and very good performances. There's also been a lot of work in the transfer window too, if we have a look. Because if we see the history, there are 5 signings at senior level. 4 of them are going to impact the first team soon. And there are a whole host of departures. So since you were with me, where we let Ikos and Durgan go, the first not through choice, the second very much through it, we've also lost Kenan Karaman for free, which is fine, off the wage bill. 6 months earlier than he'd be released anyway. And Cham moved on for 1 million, which was pre-agreed. We got 750 grand for one of our young strikers who's not brilliant, so I was happy with that. There's 3 or 4 youngsters at the club better than him. Tan and Arman out on loan off the wage bill. The same for Sahin, a left winger, who wasn't particularly good. We then got 1.3 million from Japanese club Kyoto for Erdogan. He's the centre-half who was the second biggest earner. He moves on from the club as well. Murat Çelik is another youngster we got a bit of money for. And then the last one, Emre. I know he started well for us. We've signed a couple of good wide players now. And he was getting worse again. So to move him on before the end of his wages and get a little bit off the bill is absolutely fine by me. What that's all allowed us to do is bring in 5 players. And those 5 signings have meant that Carlos Eduardo, despite being first choice until last week, has also now returned to his parent club. So he's left the club as well. And we have bought in, the first one has to be an Englishman to join us, Lewis Brunt from Aberdeen on loan, a centre-half and holding midfielder who's just rock solid across the board. Given the fact that we'd let, in the end, 2 centre-halves go, and it's about to be 3, spoiler alert, we had to bring someone in on that side, and Lewis Brunt certainly fits the bill pretty nicely. He was then joined by Malik Mbai, who we'd actually pre-agreed to sign in the summer, but obviously I wanted the benefit, so we got him now. He's a backup left winger, Malik Mbai. He's 23. Scouts and the coaches think he's got big potential, so made sense to bring him in. And that's sort of why, with Emre going on big wages, with Karaman going on big wages, and Mbai's on a little bit less, he's one for the future. He'll benefit from some sub appearances now, so he comes in. The third one is one that the club should really thank me for because Christian Murkiu is going to be a star. Now, the problem is he's got a release clause that's not huge. He's a 19-year-old Romanian right back who we got for 1.6 million, and he's a gem. Like, he's going to be properly good. So he comes in and will make his first start today. We've then brought in a new backup keeper because, as you saw, we only had one at senior level. Abdullah Yigita joins from Hatayspor, £14,000, just a solid number 2. And in the final one, the reason that Eduardo's been sent back, we found a free agent in Ferreira who, yes, is earning a bit more money. Yes, is 30 years of age, but this was a me signing. And you can see compared to Eduardo, he's a bit of a superstar. So Ferreira comes in will be our starting left winger now in that 4-2-3-1 shape. So really happy with the transfer work so far. There is a little bit more to be done. If we look at the ins, I have potentially got a loan signing, but I'm not sure I'm going to complete it. Few injury concerns about the player from his report. We've got rid of that awful centre-half who looks like he's about to go. Van Drongelen also looks like he's about to go for 2.5 million. Started him once, he got sent off. We've got decent centre-half, so let's just get rid of him. And then a few other youngsters potentially going out on loan or for nominal fees, as we've seen here, 400 grand for one of the holding midfielders. So this is a window where you can see we've really built the finances back up at the club. We've given them a great base and we've allowed ourselves, if a superstar comes up in the next few days, to go and make a sign-in and maybe try and push on for something special again. But as it is at the moment, we've still got a decent team. We've still got centre-halves available like Lewis Brunt, as well as Majakic, as well as Lemkin. And obviously we've got Fernandez who can slot in like he will today. So I'm not too concerned about the strength in depth. I want to bring through a few of the youngsters. I want to give them a chance. And today is that opportunity because I'm going to show you this game. With the league pretty much sewn up now, I think we're going to be fine. I don't think it's going to be exciting at either end of the table. I thought, well, why not show this game? We've drawn the league leaders Galatasaray in the Turkish Cup 6th round. Why not have a go and see if we can get through? We're going to have to rotate still because loads of players were knackered from the weekend. But I still think it's going to be a fun game. Let's see what they've got in their team. Victor Nelson still centre-half. Sonko on the left wing. Players that we've come up against during these saves this year. So let's see how we manage to get on. It is going to be this side that comes out today. Very heavily rotated. Nowhere near full strength. But as you can see, most of the first team was knackered. So it's a few youngsters on the bench and a rotated first 11. Erkan, the first choice keeper, is in goal though. Enes and Merciu, the fullbacks. Merciu making his first start. Lewis Brunt doing the same at centre-half alongside Fernandez. In midfield is Chelil alongside Buna with Kinali on the right and Bai's first start on the left and Gerpers behind Ulka, the star young striker up front. 2 goals now for the club. I really like him. Let's see if he can do something special in the Turkish Cup today. And if we go on a run, you might get to see more than one game in this episode. Well, 5 changes for our visitors as well. They've decided to rotate a bit. Just looking at the bench for any other familiar names, Unavar being one of them. It's a good side, to be fair. They're winning the league pretty much at a canter. So let's see if we can do anything to shock them. They're going to do well. Let's keep going. Show them how good we are. Into the first half. It's still not full, the stadium. I thought it'd be a bit busier for this one. Maybe there's an air of resignation. I know we've started well, but Galatasaray are a pretty good team. We're sticking with the balanced mentality. We're sticking with the same formation. We're trying to play to the style that the club culture item suggested. So we're trying to play a bit quicker on the counter-attack. Bar Chelil, we've not got any brilliant midfielders on the ball. It is just that one deep line playmaker. So we've gone for sort of flying wing-backs. We've got an inside forward. We've got attacking midfielders. And then we've got a winger just supporting and putting the ball in on the right. So we are trying to play a quicker style, a counter-attacking style, and hitting teams on the break. And whether or not that's going to be enough, I don't know. It's not quite as direct as they probably want, but I feel it's the best we can do. We go too direct with what we've got, we'll end up getting in trouble. There's a couple of injuries on the left there. Thought we were going to see the red card curse. It is a big game. Will someone dive in and get themselves in trouble? Oh, that's a good effort from Galatasaray. Enes then heads behind for a corner. Not sure what he was trying to do with that because it went back the other way. Samsunspor saying that Kuhn's trying to waste time. I'm not sure about that. I think they're on top here. I'm not sure they need to be slowing it down. Half an hour gone though, and it is still 0-0. We have pulled off a couple of wins where we've not been at our best. None more so than in the last round of the Cup. What are we going to achieve here? It's a Yunus corner for Galatasaray. In towards that front post. There's the header. It's a great save. That's why we played the number 1 keeper. Because he's going to need to be informed today. He's almost up to an 8 rating already. But the visitors are dominating this. We are seeing the difference between Galatasaray and the rest. Because even Besiktas, nowhere near this strong against us. 10 minutes to the break to hold on. Look at the match stats. 11 shots, 8 on target for Galatasaray. No efforts on goal and no real breaks near the goal for us. As they come forward again, they're keeping the ball. They've got every outfield player in our half of the pitch. And they're just trying to make something happen, as they are again with Yunus out wide to the byline. Cuts it back. We're in a little bit of trouble here. I think we might be seeing a defeat. We did have one game against Başakşehir that was like this, where we just got completely battered. But generally, we've managed to compete in every match. Not here, though. It's still 0-0, though, which is the main thing, isn't it? You can say we're being battered all you like. We've not conceded a goal, and that's enough for penalties at the moment. Whether or not it'll stay that way, very different question, because here they are on the right. Yunus carrying it forward again, looks a proper threat. It's a great challenge, though. Then Mbaye kicks it straight back to them. Just can't get away from the danger zone. Sonko on the left. Someone we've seen before in the Aberdeen save on Twitch. Big delivery into the back post. And away again, and Mbaye will chase. Can he keep possession this time? He breaks away. Not much support, but he finds his number 10. And he's got two to his right. One of them's all cut. Yunus there. And he's into the box. He might shoot here. Oh, it's off the post. We almost go 1-0 up out of nothing. We've been absolutely battered for 40 minutes. And in our first shot on goal, we hit the post. The inside of the post, nonetheless. And it rolls across the line agonisingly. And it's the best chance of the match. I'll tell the lads they're doing well, to which I get no response. Really, Alback's the man we'd want to come off. But the only first choice defender I have is Majakic. He's nervous. And he's going to need to be fit at a weekend. So I'm going to try and get through another 15 or so. But at half time, despite being utterly outplayed, it's us who have had the best chance there out of the blue. Well, 20 minutes gone in the second half, and we're yet to see a highlight. We're managing to nullify them pretty well in this half. And even though they have had all those shots, it's only 1.17 the expected goals. I'm going to take Alback off now. We'll put Fernandez to left back, Majakic on at centre half. Merciu's had a good debut, but I am going to take him off now for Calafat as well. We're also going to replace Canali on the right, who is returning from injury with Durgan. And Mbaye on the left, the same with Ferreira, who's just building his fitness up. And then Ulker up front has not been the best. So we're going to go for, I think, Yalcin, who is the other one with a bit of potential here. So let's just get those boys on. It's very hard to keep them motivated and encouraged. They are struggling with morale, this young team. But they shouldn't be unhappy based on the result. I know they've been outplayed in this match, but they are hanging on in there. And with 10 to go, we're still very much in the cup, despite offering very little. And here we come down the right with Calafat. Imagine we nick a 1-0 here. It would be the most cruel result, wouldn't it? Calafat throws in. Atakan gets there. It's back to the right back. Good delivery. Ferreira's up, can't make it. Fernandez does though. Into the box, it's in. What a finish that is. De Gregorio got a hand to it, but he couldn't keep it out. It was hit with venom. It's his first ever Samsunspor goal. We're FM in Galatasaray beyond all possible doubt. I've got to see this again. We play it down the right. The ball's away. Look at this finish. He just smashes it. Off the keeper onto the underside of the bar. That is remarkable. We're now into 4 minutes of added on time. And I think we need to get the time wasting on folks because we are hanging on here for dear life. I'm going to put the fullbacks to defensive duties just so they don't go forward too much. And the same for the other holding midfielder. I'm not going to go absolutely bananas. I'm not going to throw everyone behind the ball. I am, though, going to drop Gerpers into centre midfield. He's a little bit more confident in there anyway as an advanced playmaker on support. And then I'm just going to slow the tempo, time waste, and make sure that we take as long as possible over kicks and that. I'm not going to do anything bonkers. I'm not going to go completely mad. I still want to have a little threat on the counter, but this risks being one of our greatest ever moments. As Bajuna goes back to Majakic. Jalil finds Fernandez, and we've got a chance. We can make it 2 down the left. That would be lovely. Would certainly be unjust, but we'll take it. Fernandez to the byline, trying to turn provider, and he wins a corner. 2 minutes of stoppage time to go. I'm really starting to like this team. As in, I really would like to manage them longer term. We might have to break the rules of the save here, because I'm loving this. Cello takes his time. The 4 minutes are up. 3 shots versus 18. 2 on target versus 9. 0.3 our expected goals. 1.36 Galatasaray. The score, the only one that matters. 1-0 to Samsunspor. The dream continues. Let's see if we can find out who we're getting in the next round of the cup. Because we may well be showing that later in the season. It's not worth it in the league now, as we're pretty much in the middle of the table. So let's see who we're going to be facing. Well, this is the big news from the Turkish Cup draws. Both the quarters and the semis have been drawn, and we are not facing any of the big boys because the only ones left are Fenerbahce, and they are in the other half of the draw. So if we make it to the final and we play them, that will also be shown on camera. But otherwise, we're just going to get through the rest of the season. I don't envisage any more signings coming in. Van Dronigan will be going out. And we've also let a couple of others go as well. A 400 grand youngster with a sell on, and then another experienced player for 2.5 grand. Both of those off the wage bill and forgotten about. We've built a squad I'm very happy with. And now it's just about getting through the season, securing a mid-table finish, and hopefully going on a special cup run. If we were to get to a cup final here, would it match our achievement of Vendor last season? Let's not get ahead of ourselves just yet, but hope we can produce something special. We return again at the end of the transfer window, and the news is beyond good. We've somehow, and I don't know how to say this again because it's the second club in a row, and it is since an update about a week before Christmas in FM, it just seems to have got a little bit easier. We're up into 5th place, relegation is a long and distant memory, and we now seem to be in a battle from 5th to 9th. I'm going to be honest after this season, I will try one more club and I'll go for a slightly more perilous position, but it will worry me if we get out of trouble too easily again there. But this time, the only good news I can say is look who we're facing next. Turkiye, the old Middlesbrough legend, what a player he was. He's going to be the manager we're up against in both our next 2 matches. But the reason we've come back here is because if we go to the transfers, we've had to make some big decisions at the end of the window because the only real squad rule there is that you can only have 11 foreign players. And we got an offer for a homegrown player on deadline day that was too good to refuse, and I had to replace him, which meant I've had to juggle about a bit and maybe make a few little gambles with the squad. So we lost our backup goalkeeper. He was sold on, but he was 3rd choice, so it's not a big deal. And if we go further down, we've loaned out a couple, but this is the big offer. Enes Albak, the backup left back. We got offered 7.5 million from Besiktas. He had a 1.5 years on his contract. He wanted to go anyway. He was unhappy that we'd rejected an offer of about 3 million before. So when we got that, I just thought, look, it's too good. He's short of the back post. It doesn't really work for us. So let's just let him move on. And for that money, we can't turn it down. But because of that, we then had to bring in a left back on deadline day. We've also had to bring in a number 10 because obviously we lost a superstar at the start of the window. That bit's been a bit easier. So the man who's come in is Perilous, who was playing in Sweden, Norrköping, 2 million quid. But he, homegrown in the nation, proper quality player, 3.5-star ability. And look at his attacking attributes. It's not just the passing range, it's the fact that he can finish and he's got real composure too. He is a number 10 of the highest quality. Has certainly earned his 12 grand a week, which makes him one of the highest earners at the club. The other one we've brought in, though, we couldn't find a homegrown left back of quality. So we've gone for a free agent in Bjorn Meyer, who I actually think is underrated by our team. They've given him 4-star potential, but they're saying at the moment he's only 2.5-star. I disagree with that somewhat. I'd really, if I was being ideal, like to retrain him as a centre-half because he's 6 foot, he's good in the air, he's quick, he's got the lot. But as it is, I think he's a very solid fullback and may become first choice in the future. But what that means is we had 12 foreign players in the squad because Meyer took us over the edge. And the one I've had to let go was a backup player who was good and versatile, but in positions where we have 2 or 3 quality players. So Philip Björn has moved out on loan to Sirius. He's gone for the season, 5.5 grand a week, and we'll readdress that in the summer. But unfortunately, he is the casualty of the homegrown rulings and the foreign rules in the squad because I would have liked to have kept him. But he was the most expendable of the 12 foreign players we had. So with that out the way, we've got the rest of the season to get through. We're absolutely flying in the league. We beat Adana 4-0. Ozcan was brilliant. We got another goal for the youngster Ulke. It's all just looking too good at the minute. And I don't really know what to do about it. But I mentioned it here. The last stint we had with Vendor, this one, and even if you go over on Twitch, what's been happening with Pels in the last few weeks. Since that update, I've found FM to be easier than ever. I'm a bit worried that it might destroy this save. We'll wait and find out if I end up with egg on my face and what the rest of the season does. And we will give it one more try next year. But at the moment, it looks like it's going to be comfortable. So I think all we're going to do is either come back if we get to a Turkish Cup final, of course. Hopefully we can go on a run. If not, we'll come back at the end of the season, see if we're still battling for Europe on the final day, because looks like that 5th spot is up for grabs now. And otherwise, we'll just progress through and let you know if we get a brilliant youth intake, which is unlikely given the youth recruitment. Well, there was no point putting you through stages of suspense. We have skipped all the way to the final day of the league season. We've continued generally on the same trajectory, albeit the top three are miles clear in this league. But after that, it's very tight. And now, not only have we got a chance of finishing fifth, but Samsunspor have actually dropped, and we could end up above our arch rivals. So there is 1 point between Samsunspor, us, and then Konyaspor as well. If we drop a point, we could fall out of Europe. If we gain a point, we could go into fourth. It could be a very special season, but it also does leave me asking questions because the whole point of this save was to be in perilous positions. And look, we had it at the start. The first 4 or 5 clubs, we had an incredible run. And yes, maybe we've become a better firefighter. We've got coaching badges and a reputation that gives us respect, but it shouldn't be this comfortable because while we've got a squad that I felt could stay up here, we have not got the 4th or 5th best squad in this country. There is no doubt in that. So we're going to see what next season brings. But if it ends up similar to this and Vendor, it might end up being the last one. I can't promise otherwise. Let's have a look at how we've been going since you were here, though, because we did have a little bit of a poor run. We drew the game after. We stopped off last time, but the new signing did score his first goal for the club. We then lost to Turkiye side in the cup as well, before a defeat away at Galatasaray by 3 goals to 4. Or 4 goals to 3, sorry. Aiden got 2 in that game as well. Since then, though, brilliant form until the Besiktas game. 2-0 against Vanspor. A hat-trick for the striker against Bursaspor. Even got a draw against Fenerbahce and Bayi's first for the club, I think. Then 3-0 against Trabzonspor, which obviously delighted the fans. A very late win away at Hatayspor. Goalkeeper saved a penalty in that one as well. It was all going in our favour. 2-0 win against Pendikspor. And then a narrow defeat away at Besiktas. However, we go into the final game of the season against 12th place Antalyaspor with everything in our hands. They've got nothing to play for apart from 12th or 13th. And for us, it's all about can you get to Europe. The league rules, as they state at the moment, 4th place go into the Europa League, depending on the winner of the Turkish Cup, and 5th into the Conference League qualifiers, depending on the winner of the Turkish Cup. Now, important question, who's in the Turkish Cup final? Let's go and have a look at what's happened there. It is Fenerbahce versus Eyüpspor. So as long, I'm just trying to find out when this game is. It is next week, Saturday. As long as Fenerbahce win that game, 5th place is enough for Europe. If Fenerbahce lose it to Tunçay's side, who we lost to, yes, we'd have the little bit of mitigation of losing to the eventual winners, but we would also miss out on Europe if we finish 5th. So let's see if we can do our job. Trabzonspor have got Besiktas at home. They're still battling for second in Champions League football, so they might have something to say about it. And then below us, Konyaspor in 6th are away at Galatasaray. So actually, we have got the best chance of the 3. But Galatasaray, they might be saying we've won the league already. We're going to relax. Just check in that they're not in a European final or anything. Let's go and get through to the final game of the season. Pick our 11. We'll be back in a minute for the second game of the episode, which will decide our fate, potentially, for European football, although the cup final might ruin it. Here we go then for our season grand finale, and this is the 11 we have picked. Lewis Brunt is in the central midfield area because the Pasai has been out injured for a little while. Other than that, I think it's pretty much full strength. Mercy using at right back. Califat's just come back from injury and suspension. And then otherwise, it's the 11 we'd normally go for. So Okan in goal, Fernandez and Merciu the fullbacks with Lemkin and Majakic as centre-half. Brunt and Ozcan the midfield 2, and Muja and Ferreira out wide. And then Baylor, the new star, behind the centre-forward, who has scored 14 this year. Doing pretty well, it's got to be said. Not the best player in the world, but certainly solid enough. Not the strongest bench due to injuries and fatigue, but it's the final game of the season, and a win could put this club into Europe. And again, be a remarkable achievement for a firefighter job. The opposition we're up against today have one player that you will be familiar with from at some point in the head coach this year. I can't remember where, but Abdul Kadir Omar, either this year or last year, we definitely managed him. I recognise the name. And they've got Esther Sockler up front. Those who followed the Twitch save with Aberdeen will know that name very well, as will Scottish football fans. Let's go and get through to the first half. A draw could secure Conference League football. No, I want us to go and win. What can I say here? Just go and give the fans a good day. The number 10 is very excited about that, and that's what we want because he's been the superstar so far. As we head into the first half here, can Samsunspor take advantage of home advantage as Baylor, the number 10, is on the corner, up to Lemkin at the back post, and it starts just as so many of our games have this year. It's been a dream spell, and I know the vendor one was as well, but I've got that mix of the immense pride of really loving this team. Like, I'd love to stay here and rebuild, but also is this a little bit too easy? Is it a little bit unrealistic? And then can we nick fourth place? Because Ayopspor are resting people clearly for the cup final, and it could ruin our chances of Europe. We're keeping an eye on Trabzonspor v Besiktas, which is 0-0. And if that stays that way, we will be fourth, which is the crucial thing. So let's get the league table up. At the moment, we are completing the most remarkable of turnarounds, having taken over second bottom in the relegation zone. We are an hour away from finishing fourth and guaranteeing European football for this club in some form. 5 minutes to the break. It's been a terrible game. And a lot of these games, you've seen with the amount of clean sheets we've kept, we've not been vintage, but we've been getting 1 or 2 nils. And then late on, a lot of sides are coming and attacking us, and we're getting late goals on the counter. It really is just the perfect storm with the squad we've got as Fernandez pushes forward. We have made one slight tactical tweak since Ferreira's come in. He's become a sort of winger on attack rather than that inverted forward. It does work better at the minute as Ozcan gets in, shots blocked, and it's bobbling around all over the place. Pinball in the penalty area, but it's eventually cleared. And it stays 1-0. 10 minutes gone in the second half. Definitely looks like set pieces are the way forward. Just got a note behind my head to say they're changing their approach and going more attacking, playing with more freedom. Will that benefit us? As Fernandez heads just wide, that's a good chance. It's gone begging. We really should have done more with that. Let's praise the boys. They're playing well. Want a little bit of confidence there. I've got a mixed reaction to it, but with 25 to go, there's no point worrying about yellow cards for a suspension. We're absolutely flying. What we are worried about is Trabzonspor, who went ahead against Besiktas, got pegged back. It's 1-1 at the minute. Besiktas have just scored again. We're going up to fourth, people. This is remarkable. If we finish above the rivals as well, I'm going to take Marius off up front for Alkay, get the youngster on. I'm going to take Merciu off for Calafat. I'm going to take Nicolas Fernandez off for Major, I think, because he's been doing okay. On the right, Mujah struggling a little bit. Could I bring on Mbai? Ozcan's going to come off for Yüksel. And then I think I could even bring the youngster on, to be fair. Let's go. There's no harm in doing it. We're going to bring on Mohamed instead. And then out wide, I will bring on Mbai for Mujah. We're going to bring on the youngsters. We're going to give them the opportunity. And we're going to hope that they can do us proud. There's 15 to go. We've dominated the game. And I just hope that that's enough. Because this victory would be absolutely crucial. Galatasaray are beating Konyaspor. At the end, it almost looks like we're doing it comfortably. And even if we concede now, I think we're above Trabzonspor on either head-to-head because of our heavy win against them or on goal difference. As Ferreira into Major. Oh, he's offside. Could have been his first for the club. That would have been so nice. But it did look offside. Ferreira probably should have gone himself. Goal is disallowed. Almost a dream moment for the left-back. But not to be. 2 minutes added on. We are 1-0 up. We're comfortable. And again, it's not vintage, but it is so, so solid. And it's the second year in a row where not only have we succeeded as a firefighter, we've achieved almost the unthinkable. And maybe we go down as a legend at this club. We finished fourth. The cup final now doesn't matter. It matters for what competition we're in, but we are guaranteed football in Europe of some sort. Because there you go, Conference League guaranteed. And then if Fenerbahce win the cup, it will be the Europa League instead. Incredible effort. Money in the bank. Although they're sharing out $1 million in bonuses and we've only received $500,000. That's not quite how finances work, which is probably why the club were in a mess. But it's all right now. It's looking pretty good. We have done so, so well. What we're going to do now then is skip ahead, see the end of season review, find out who wins the cup final and what competition we leave these guys in. I'm going to save an alternate because I'd quite like to carry this save on off camera. And then we're going to try and find another club and resign from this job because I've got a feeling if next week goes similarly to the last two here, it might be the last episode of the series. Hopefully, It's just been a couple of lucky spells, and we get a real difficult challenge next time around. Let's get to the end of season review and then go and find our next job. Well, we've got our end of season review, so let's see how we're rated for what we've done. I'm not sure why, because we haven't seen some of the other messages yet. The players we've bought in, I know we had to fight to reduce that wage bill, but if you look at when we sold certain players, we let obviously Albak go for big money. Durgan we got off the wage bill, and we sold a couple of others as well. Van Drongelen, 2.5 million, really good business. Such a shame that we lost the lad to Salzburg, but the replacement is not a bad player, I can tell you that. If we have a look at the ones that came in, Baylor as the number 10, a like-for-like replacement of real quality. Fernandez came in before we were here, as did Lemkin. We bought in Mbai, who did okay. Lewis Brunt, rock solid and versatile, as were the likes of Major, who almost got that goal at the end, and a few of the others. Merciu, going to be a big star for the club in the future. Let's go and move on to the season results, which are pretty remarkable in the end. We are guaranteed European football, and next week we'll find out if it's Europa League or Europa Conference League. And after a poor start to the season, this club just became a joy to manage. There is no other way of putting it. Bit disappointed in the cup, but I would have traded that for European football. Goal of the season came from Baylor. That was just last week as we lost to Besiktas. Match to remember, a 1-1 draw with Galatasaray. And our biggest win, the 4-0 at Adana. The club's success has definitely helped the finances. Competition prize money has shot up. All of those wins, you get like 90 grand per week in a Turkish Super League. 2.5-star reputation will surely go up with European football. And the man we bought in is the second highest shirt seller. So we've done something to help out commercially too. If we look at team of the season, obviously the number 10's not there because he didn't play enough games. But otherwise, that's the team I'd pick. There's no arguing with it, really. Let's go through the accolades. Let's go through the end of season stuff. Nicolas Fernandez, player of the season for the fans. Signing of the season, Baylor, who you can tell on course for superstardom. And it's just a very good squad that had a very solid year. Delighted with it. We have a look at the board expectations, and for next season, they've set a budget of 17 million. This is a save off camera I'm going to have some real fun with. But the rules of the Firefighter are different. So once we find out next week what's happening, we'll reach that top half finish next year. But otherwise, a perfect spell, builds our reputation yet further. And now financially they're in a good position. You know what we've got to do. We're going to ask for a coaching course, the Continental A licence. And hopefully by the time the cup final comes round, we'll have another coaching badge on the way. We'll have Europa League football for Samsunspor. And then we can go and look for our next challenge, which hopefully will be a little bit trickier as intended. Well, this is big news. The club are putting undersoil heating in the stadium. 2 million quid to do that, but they're spending their money to improve off the pitch. We'll go and work on the facilities as well. But this is the crucial bit for our career. We have got the funding to start the Continental A licence. The bit that you all said would be the hardest in this save. And I can only recommend the opposite. It's been so easy to get coaching badges in this save. Easier than anything we've ever done in FM before. If you want to go and get your coaching badges, do loads of short-term stints at clubs, take advantage when your stock is high and when the finances are in the positive, and you will get your badges so easily. A brilliant start for us in this career. We're 5 years in, we're on our 6th coaching badge. That has never happened to me before. Well, it's big news time. Samsunspor have qualified for the Europa League in 4th place because it took till extra time, but Fenerbahce did win the Turkish Cup in the end. 1-0 in extra time, Szymanski getting the winner. And that means we finish in style with a 4th place finish in Europa League football. Now, we've saved this because we want to continue it off camera, but on it, we have got to find another job to be a firefighter. So we're going to resign from this football club to finish the episode. And I think we're going to take the same route again because I was having a little look at the job centre and I was thinking, well, we could resign from this job today and then we could look for somewhere to go, perhaps in sort of Japan if there was a top tier club that was in real trouble. Norway if one of the big boys had got themselves down there in a winter to winter league. But there's no really brilliant jobs about. The closest to it is Kawasaki, but they're already 13th, so they're not really in relegation danger. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait until the middle of next season. We'll come back next week and do a job hunt special for what I think will be the final club, unless it ends up being brilliant and really challenging again, because I'm worrying that this might be getting a little bit too easy. There's nothing about that is going to tickle our fancy from now till December. So let's do the same again. Let's have half a year off. Let's get this A license done. And then we will return in the middle of next season to look for another job for a club in trouble. And this time, we'll try and find someone who's a bit further adrift that may present more of a challenge and a real test of our firefighting abilities. Samsunspor, it's been an absolute pleasure. Our job now is to resign. Let's say goodbye. Let's resign from our job. The club will obviously be upset about that, but we've done brilliantly to get them into European football, and now have accepted our resignation. I thought there'd be a bit more of a fight for us than that, to be honest. We're not going to go straight into another job, as we mentioned. We are going to wait to the winter. And as a result of that, we will be back next week to find out who our next club is, because we've got 6 months to go and simulate and get our coaching badge. And then we'll see who's in trouble and see if we can finally get a proper challenge like we had in those early clubs. If you enjoyed this one, though, a very special stint with Samsunspor, the first club that I've probably really fallen in love with a squad of and can see myself having a future with, but that's not the rules of the save. Let's go and get ourselves another job. Next week, we'll find out who that's with, what opportunities come up, and prepare ourselves for a big stint in the Firefighter. If you're looking forward to that and you did enjoy this one, please do put a thumbs up on it, subscribe and turn that notification bell on to make sure you don't miss a thing. I hope you have a very good week. I hope we have a good week trying to find a good job, and we'll be back next Sunday to find out where we might be going.